Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me again on Aspiration Inspiration. And this week I'm riding solo due to, I would say, popular demand, but a lot of people have been asking me to, share a bit about my story and to, for them to get to know me. I thought about this for, well, long and hard. And, it's been 3 fantastic months of just sharing good news from the Cape Flats and, people that have gone on to achieve such great things and coming from similar backgrounds to what you would hear about on the Cape Flats, be it coming from communities where there are gangs, where there are substance abuse and, where these things are rife, and these people are just doing incredible work and have achieved great things and are now inspiring those who come after them. And, I then ask people to submit some questions, and today's session is just like a Q&A. It's like you interviewing me. And so I have some questions here in front of me that I will just read off that I've compiled over, across social media platforms. Some people submitted via Instagram, others LinkedIn in the DMs, others Facebook. I got some WhatsApps, got a lot of WhatsApps. Sharing your number on social media can be a tricky thing. But thank you so much for engaging. And, I didn't think I would have as much engagement, but here we are. And I'm so keen on answering your questions. And thank you so much for submitting those. And I think the first question, that I'll just take, and it's why law? And there are others that came in that I also compiled into one. So why law? How do you become a lawyer? And which field of the law is most intriguing to you? So for me, it started in grade 3, right? So it's a bit of a personal story, but I don't mind sharing it on here. So there was so we had some domestic violence, domestic issues at home, and my mom and dad had a fight, and there were some third parties involved, and mom then got arrested and spent some time in the cells. And to me it was a bit confusing, but it was also like a moment of the police picking up your mom, and and she's going through the system where I didn't know. I thought my mom could be a criminal. I didn't know what was happening, but I wanted to know more. It interested me. And that weekend of spending time alone, and my mom being in the cells and then coming back, and just like, to me, I just wanted to know more about the law and how it worked. And as I grew, I didn't just want to be a policeman or an enforcer of the law, but I wanted to know the law. And I think that's where my passion for the law comes from. And I've always wanted to be a lawyer, nothing else really. And so as I grew up, everything that I then did, the study group that I went to with Mr. Koopman and in the community, I told them that I wanted to be a lawyer, and they set me up quite nicely. We'll talk about that. So that's why I wanted to study law. How do you become a lawyer? So to get into university can be a bit difficult, but and you have to really work hard, because it is a lot of hard work. You need to love reading. You need to just be a hard worker and be dedicated and disciplined. So if you, I think at the time I applied to UCT, I applied to UFS, I applied to UWC, got in at all 3. I applied to WITS, but WITS then did away with their straight LLB. So you can only do, or could only do, I don't know if it's still the case, do the postgraduate LLB. So yeah, you do well in matric, you get into law school, and then after you get your LLB, you then have to do 2 years of practical. If you want to become an attorney, an admitted attorney of the High Court, you need to do 2 years of practical, which is called articles. And I'm doing mine at a firm in town called Bowman's. And you then after that, while doing articles, you have to write 4 like competency exams. So they're called board exams. So you write 4 board exams, and if you pass all 4 of those, then you just have to attend some more coursework and undergo some practical training, practical vocational training. And at the end of the 2 years, you then make an application to court for you to be admitted as an attorney of the High Court. And then after that application, you're then admitted. If it's successful. And then if you want to become an advocate, the process is a bit different. So you can go straight after law school. You can go into advocacy. So you do pupillage. So that entails you going and doing practical as well, but under another advocate. Articles is also with another attorney, and the attorney must have been practicing, I think, for about 3 years before they can have a candidate attorney or candidate legal practitioner training under them. Same with pupillage. You need to have an advocate that's been admitted as an advocate that you need to do your pupillage under as well. And then, that's for a year. It's about eight months to a year. You also write your board exam, your bar exams, and then passing those, then you will also be admitted as an advocate. I mean, there are advocates that will probably be able to speak to it a bit better, but that's from what I understand the process. And then, which field of law is most intriguing to you? I mean, I'm currently in the corporate space. So as I said, I started out, wanting to do criminal, and then I got to law school, and I saw like there's such, not even law school. I got to grade 10, grade 11 when I did job shadowing at another firm in my community. ENS has a pro bono office set up in my community. So I went to them and saw the kind of work that they do. Even though from a pro bono perspective, and they have like these sessions where different corporate lawyers would come and present on their practice areas, and I was like, wow, there's like so much more going on here, and that's how I kind of my horizon sort of broadened to being like, there's like corporate and and obviously these guys look like they the suits and the cars and all of those things, it pulls you in. So then my focus changed to corporate law, and I wanted to become a corporate attorney. I first wanted to do intellectual property, but then as you go through law school, you'll see that you'll find that it changes all the time. And eventually, I settled on, I definitely want to do something corporate. Now that I'm in practice, I also feel like, I want to do something in the corporate space, either banking or, mergers and acquisitions. But we won't get into that now. So that's only the first question. Hectic. So next question. So because you got 8 distinctions in grade 12, fun fact. And I think there's a lot of people that probably also, but because you got 8 distinctions in grade 12, did you have a normal life? Were you always studying? How did you do it? I mean, I think it's when you do realize, when you have a dream, when you visualize it and you realize the amount of work that you have to put in to get to that dream. And I realized this with law, a lot of people told me horror stories and that you had to work hard. And to me, it was just, I needed to do well in matric. And so when I go to schools, I always tell the matric guys, it's just a year of your life, just a year sacrifice to set yourself up. And, to me, that was always in my mind, that I'm going to dedicate this year so that I can have, I wasn't always a straight A student. I was a straight A student in primary school, got to high school, that changed. Don't know why, don't ask me what happened. But in matric, I was like, last shot now, kind of like, just, get your head in the game. And I did have a normal life. My friends will tell you that I did have a normal life. I had a girlfriend in matric even. I wasn't always studying. I'm more of like a 2 days, 3 days, sometimes night before guy. But I believed in, consistency throughout the year. So you do the work when it's required of you, do your homework, do the assignments and stuff, and do it to the best of your ability so that you don't have a lot of work to do towards the end of the year. So that's kind of how that happened. I was shocked when I got my results and, was on the Western Cape merit list, and that was great. It was a fantastic experience, and, I don't regret, obviously, I haven't put in the work, but yeah, man, it's just, great. If you work hard, you will reap the rewards, and then study tips on high school versus university versus for board exams. So in high school, it's a bit easier because the work is not as, as much as it becomes at university. But at high school, I was like more of I had to write things down. So I write things down, and you need to find things that will work for you, right? So you need to find whether you are a visual learner or you're someone that, you write things down, or you're someone that listens to audio. So you need to record yourself. You need to find out what works for you, because not everything works for everyone. So in high school, I was a writer, right? So I would rewrite things and rewrite it again, and then try and explain it to myself, rewrite it again until it's memorized, kind of. So it's very, very close to rote learning. At university, the work becomes a lot. So you cannot really do that at university. So I had to, you know, focus more on understanding, focus more on, focus more on understanding. And also, like, I had maps and, you know, like, just, you know, mapping out key concepts and making sure that I understand the key concepts, and then citing cases that would go with that concept or that dealt with those kinds of issues. Yeah, there was kind of a process at university where you need to know the principles, but then you need to know the authority that backs up the principles so that you can make your argument. So if you have a legal concept, make sure that you know, have the authority that can back you up, and then, you know, try and practice it on past papers so that you can at least apply those principles to the facts and citing the relevant authority. But it's also a lot, so you cannot just write and rewrite, because that takes time. And I tried, so my first and second year, I also attended almost every single lecture. In first year, I think I had 100% attendance. Second year, probably also as well. I think the only days I was out, probably when I was sick. I don't know, but like, can't move sick. But yeah, so my advice is to go to lectures, attend lectures. You know, the thing of lectures are recorded and you can go later. Later you may be lazy and you will just, you know, try and find notes, or don't do it. Rather go to the lectures so that you can know what went on, so that you can at least have some sort of recollection of what was discussed. So I found that helped. And tuts as well. Tutorials are very important, where you go and like practice again what you've been taught in lectures with a smaller group of people, because lecture rooms can be filled with up to 400 people and you just become small. So yeah, 10 tuts as well, tutorials. And then self-development. Do you have reflections on your development thus far, and how important is mental well-being to you? Yeah, I always try and find quiet time for myself where I can sit and reflect on how far I've come. And, you know, I'm so grateful for all the opportunities that, you know, various people have come, you know, and given to me. And, you know, I'm so grateful to God for all of these opportunities. And, you know, when I sit down and I think about how far I've come, it's just like all the stress that you went through, you know, in high school, in law school. At the time, it felt like it was a lot, but it's like, you know, you just need to know that things will work out. Things will work out. You just have to be patient with your development, but, you know, be intentional about it. Be intentional about your development, but be patient, because you're going to learn. You're in a learning stage of your life. That's what I had to tell me, you know, and that's what I always also reflect on. But yeah, mental well-being, very, very important. You have to take time out. You have to take time out to care for yourself. You have to spend time with other people. Sometimes you just have to, you know, there's a partner at our firm. He used to come to law school, and, you know, someone that I look up to. And he used to always say, you know, just get it out of your system. Just get it out of your system. So when you need to go and you know, he used to make examples that if you need to go to the Joel on a Thursday, I mean, obviously I don't go there, but, you know, if you need to go to that lunch with friends, just go and attend and get it out of your system, and, you know, try and switch off from work. And be intentional about, you know, your celebrations of your successes. This was also a question. I can't remember how it was phrased. Yeah, celebrating one's successes, failures, big and small, and, you know, yeah. So celebrate all of your successes. I'm very, you know, I'm a proponent for that, because you've worked so hard, man. So when you have that opportunity to spoil yourself, treat yourself. I never had a PlayStation growing up, and, you know, now that I'm working and I'm earning, you know, a decent amount, and, you know, and I just saved towards buying me a PlayStation, and people were like, no, it's a waste of money. And I was just like, dude, you know, all of my friends growing up, almost all of them, had PlayStations. I didn't have one, and now I can finally, like, you know, afford one, and having saved for it. So I treated myself and bought myself a PlayStation. So that's just an example, but, you know, whether it's big or small, if you walk into a store and you see a new bag, you see a pair of shoes, you see something, you know, and you have the money and the means at the moment, and, you know, even if it's, you know, your last, but, and you just feel like you deserve it, to treat yourself. You know, yeah. So always, you know, make yourself feel good in that moment, so that you can reward yourself for the work that you've done and that you've put in. Another question. how did you pay for your studies? So yeah, I think that it relates to my work in matric, and after matric, I was lucky to get scholarships. I got a full scholarship from the NYDA, but also be on the lookout for scholarships. There's a lot of money lying around, people waiting to sponsor. People that have done well academically, and also in well extracurricular activities. So yeah, so just keep your eyes peeled for those opportunities, and don't be shy. Apply, submit your application, and you never know what may come your way. I also had sponsorship from the Richards Plain Bursary and Role Model Trust that is set up by Mr. Trevor Manuel. Fantastic sponsorship as well. Pay for my registration so that you don't have that stress at the beginning of university where, how am I going to pay this registration? It can be, it can run into the thousands and tens of thousands of rands. It's just money that you don't have up front, because scholarships are still pending, and so they came through for me there as well. And then I also had an entrance scholarship that the university offers you, and also I had a scholarship from the Western Cape Education Department for the results that I had. So yeah, it's just, when you work hard, I promise you that it's going to pay off. Hard work indeed pays off. So that's something that I will definitely, advise. Just, keep your head down and keep it in the books, and, sacrifice, and you will be rewarded for that. You will be rewarded for that. And then, what are you currently reading, and what do you recommend? So as I said earlier, as a lawyer, it's very important that you read, and that you read widely. It's as much as you're reading cases and the law, you also need to kind of stay up to date with the latest trends and current affairs and stuff, so that you can at least have a conversation with someone else, and also, with clients when you're advising them. I don't give advice yet. Through the, your bosses and stuff, but give your opinion. But yeah, so I think it's very important to read widely. First and foremost, to me, reading list. I'm a religious person. I'm a Christian, and to me, the Bible is very important. It's just a place where you can go and, tranquil, and you can read, and believe that God speaks to you through His Word, and prayer is also very important. It's also, one of the ways in which I wind down, kind of, but in good times and in bad times, praying. And I don't know how you feel, but for other people, maybe meditation. But once you've prayed and, spend some time in God's Word, if you do, or if you meditate, then it's just a tranquil, feeling that, overcomes you, and, you're just ready to go again, and you are, empowered, and sort of boosts your morale, and, you just feel in a good space. So that's first and foremost where I turn to for my reading. And then secularly, I have quite a bit that I'm reading at the moment, but it's like few pages a day, and also depending on the mood. But yeah, I love biographies, and I love self-help books, so practical stuff. So starting with the biographies, I'm reading 2 at the moment. So the one that I'm reading again is called Dream Again. So this was by a local, I think the camera is not inverted, but this is by a local author, Preston Youngblood. And he talks about, he had a dream of being a professional footballer, and, that dream came tumbling down sort of, and, when he got an injury, and he just shares a spectacular story of how he then, lifted himself up out of that, and sort of, dreamt again, that his dreams were still valid, and he could pursue other things in life through the help of God. And then the most recent one, and it's quite an interesting read also, by a guy called Nigel Sims. It's called Plain Life. Reading this one I bought recently, and he recently also just released. It's very, very interesting, talking about how he grew up on the Cape Flats, and you never know, maybe one day I'll have an interview with him on the show as well. Because I'm a lawyer, so I'm also reading The Land is Ours by Tembeka and Mukatobi. Talking about, I think the law, or the legal field, is a very white dominated field, and it's interesting to read about, black lawyers that kind of, started our advent of, constitutionalism, and just, talking about these amazing black lawyers that, that led change in our societies from a very, very early age, So I think that's an important read. And then two books that sort of goes beyond the, technical ability mindset. And that is The Trusted Advisor, that I recommend, especially if you're going to professional services. The Trusted Advisor. This is by David H. Meister and, a few others, Charles Green and them. And then the other one is Angela Duckworth's Grit, right? So these books are basically, you can be technically good, but you need to have, Grit talks about having passion and resilience, that leads to that success. So instead of just being, technically good or competent or like academically good, it's also about your perseverance and your resilience. And Trusted Advisor speaks about you can be a good lawyer, a good technical lawyer or accountant or whatever you want to put in there, but building relationship with people is very, very important. And I think that leads on to my next question, sort of, that I've been asked is, what is the most valuable lesson life has taught you? And yeah, I think there are quite a few things, but I think the most valuable lesson, two things. The one is related to the Trusted Advisor, is people, right? People are very important, There's a Professor Kelly, my warden when I was at SMUTS at UCT. Every single speech, he would say, life is about who you know. It's about who you know. It's not necessarily about what you know. So I've come to realize the importance of building the right networks with the right people, and you being that person for other people, so that they can, when you're not around, they can vouch for you, and then when you're not around, they can vouch for you, and when they are not around, you vouch for them, and creating opportunities for other people. And one other thing, that also that's also what motivates me to do what I do, because of the people that are coming after me. Mr. Koopman always used to say, this is one of my mentors, he always said, we need to go and open doors, where doors have not been opened for us. So if you're the first one, you're opening doors for people that are coming after you. So being a people's person, for other people and other people for you, and, building meaningful relationships, and, knowing at which times to kind of use those relationships are very, very important. So I always advise to put yourself out there. It's not about wanting to be a favorite or any of those things. It's just about networking, getting to know people, because at the end of the day, we are all connected, right? We're all going to create opportunities for one another. So build meaningful relationships with other people and be a meaningful contact or relationship for someone else. And then the other thing is never become complacent. Always be ready to step up. In the career that I'm in, there are countless times where I feel like, I'm messing up. I don't know what I'm supposed to do here, but there are always people that can teach you, find out. And there's always going to be that level where you get to the peak of where you're at, and you need to now step up, and you always need to be ready for that. You always need to prepare for that. So never become complacent. It could have stopped with getting 8 distinctions in matric and then done. That's all I have going for me. Then I got to university and I failed courses, not courses, but tests and stuff. And, those things can really hamper, your sort of your psyche. And you need to then, you're at a level now where you need to step up, because you can't be employing the old methods anymore. You need to step up your game. So yeah, so never become complacent. Always be ready to step up and embrace it, embrace the development, embrace change. Do you believe in goal setting, or is all that you've achieved, did you set goals for everything that you've achieved thus far years ago? Yeah, I mean, going back to matric, what I had was I wrote my goals down of wanting to get straight A's. I still have the page, and I wrote this down in March, and in every term I would write down my marks for the term, and just to see how they would climb. And I never got straight A's for the whole year in matric, and but because I wrote it down that I wanted to get straight A's. In the end, lo and behold, and yeah, so always, and I always wanted to be a lawyer. So I always, having spoken to the right people, knew what I had to do. So kind of mapping it out where I need to go next, getting the job shadowing done, to get a bit of practical experience, and that is also very important. Doing back work while at university, getting practical experience. So everything that you then do, you plan your goals, you write them down, you map it out, and then everything that you do sort of plays into those goals, and it doesn't have to happen according to that timeline, that strict timeline. And strict timelines can be hampering on your morale, and don't let that play on you. Just know where you want to end up, and everything that you do in between is going to get you there. So yeah. Thoughts on mentorship, and do you have a mentor? I think mentorship is very, very important. I already spoke about the importance of people, but I usually, I don't want to name drop, but I have a mentor for my professional career, in general, someone external from the space that I find myself in now professionally at the firm where I'm at. And then I have someone in the firm. She's just brilliant. An M&A lawyer, and it's just kind of I said I want to do corporate law, so it's really like up in that alley, and she's just been fantastic giving practical advice as well as someone who's interested in your life personally. So get you someone like that. And then I also have someone in the church, because I have aspirations there as well. So I have people that I look up to there, and people that mentor me there. I do karate, and so everywhere where you're at, every capacity that you find yourself in, find yourself a mentor there. And I think it's just having a life coach. I also have a life coach, someone that just in general that's there as like a second father figure, where you can, or mother figure, or whatever kind of figure, where you can just go and unpack and ask advice. Very, very important. Very, very important to take advice and to seek counsel from other people, especially when you are so young and you don't sort of know the direction that you want to go into. So yeah, I would say that's very, very important. Last few questions. Who inspires you, and who do you look up to? And also, like, what motivates you? So my main source of inspiration, first and foremost, is my family. I want to create a better life for us and for them, and creating a better life for myself, and to do it for myself as well. I come from a household where both of my parents have been unemployed for the longest time, and my sister's been supporting us, and the house was always overcrowded, and we now now that my other siblings are all grown up and moved out, now only starting to sort of expand a bit, and making improvements at home, because there are sort of more income now. But yeah, so first and foremost, they inspire me. They motivate me. It's why I get up every morning. Then also obviously my fiance, she said if I don't mention her, then I'm kidding. But yeah, she also, great source of inspiration to me. Just her hard work and dedication, and it's amazing. And just to be able to build something, with the people around me, it's really what motivates me. And who inspires me, two people, and there are a lot of people, but two that are worth mentioning. One is Mr. Andrew Koopman. He's taken me in from a very, very young age. When I told him I wanted to be a lawyer, he's created so many opportunities for me, pushed me kind of into the direction, introduced me to the right people, and it's just been amazing, at being, okay, that is actually my life coach, at being that source of, motivation, encouragement, mentorship, guiding me, wisdom, sharing that with me, and practically introducing me to people, sending me to attend events and attending events with me. And he's always ready with his camera, so there are pictures of the events that I attended. So he's just been spectacular. And then in a more professional capacity, there's a guy called Tazwell Papier. He's now currently a judge in the Western Cape High Court. But he's just a spectacular attorney that I've always looked up to. And, I always wanted to be like this guy, that kind of balance human rights, commercial, corporate law, and, all of those aspects. And, it's just lumped together. It's just like made a spectacular human being, and, as a professional, and also just as, someone to be able to look up to. And so, yeah, there's that. And then I think the last question was any future plans. So yeah, future plans. So for now, the immediate future plan is to, be admitted as an attorney, and then eventually, climb the corporate ladder, whether that's at the, preferably at the firm where I'm at right now, or otherwise, but climb the corporate ladder, do a master's eventually, so further my studies to a master's, and I then also, eventually want to write a book. So all of these stories will, culminate eventually into, a book that I'd love to write, and then maybe later do another one. So going into sort of like authorship, apart from, being an attorney and climbing the corporate ladder. But yeah, so immediately just becoming an admitted attorney. I suppose more immediately also is becoming a husband. Sorry, I don't know why I say that last, but becoming a husband, and yeah, sort of starting that journey with the partner. And yeah, man. But my word of advice is, just keep your head down, keep on moving, keep on moving forward. There's a lot of things that will come your way that will sway you, and that may sort of like throw you off the path, and will attempt to do so. But stay focused on the prize. Keep your eyes focused on the prize. And every single thing that you do, whether it's the people that you meet, the stuff that you join, whether it's at school or on campus, everything that you do, make sure that it's in line with your purpose. Once you've discovered what that is, and it comes with time. Give yourself time. As I said, be intentional about your development. Be patient about it, and enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey. So yeah, that's it from me. Let me know if you have any other questions. At Aspiration Inspiration, we always aim to aspire. We always aspire to inspire before we expire. And yeah, so thank you so much for your time. And I say peace out for now.